Good morning, I guess, Top Fan Rivalry supporters and followers. It's Bill and Jackson. It's time for the weekly review. We're a couple of days behind. We both had a couple of scheduling conflicts, but we're here for you, whether we're on YouTube or um, whether we're on in the locker room. We're there for you. Just Jackson, let's talk through the week. There's no baseball, but that's okay. We got stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I mean it's awards week. They're handing out the rest of the awards this week. Some pretty big ones. Rookie of the Year, Cy Young Award. Uh, I think MVP is Manager of the Year also this week. So there's definitely going to be a lot to talk about, you know, in the future. But before we get to that, we can talk about the ones that they did hand out. I guess for my number one, uh, they did do the All MLB team, Bill, and you're not going to like this, but I do not like one of the first team selections. I'm going to say Mookie Betts does not deserve to be in the first team All MLB team this year. He is still Mookie Betts, but I think he should be replaced by Jarren Duran, who got second team, who had a really good season for Boston. You know, Duran hit 21 home runs, had 14 triples and 48 doubles. He's the first player since Stan Musial to lead the league in both doubles and triples. That's a fun
Hey,
fact.
Hey, this has been a great show, everybody. Jackson just ended the show on his number one. No, listen. Opinions are opinions.
Yeah,
Uh, eh, Mookie Betts' numbers would have been better had he not missed 6 weeks, and it wasn't for
yeah, yeah.
you know,
I'm not saying if you were to select one player, you'd pick Jarren Duran over Mookie Betts every time. I'm just saying for this particular award this season, it happens. You miss time.
mhm. So, so I'm going to piggyback on that as my number one because you just led it right into
Uh,
this. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm in high school. Now we're picking a first team and a second team. Who cares? Who cares? It's like, okay, so this is the best that we got. We already know that. Like, everybody go look up the stat. So we need an extra award for this now. I, I'm just thinking the MLB is just trying to grab some extra time in the off season, and you know,
yeah,
but what do I know?
I think it's an interesting comparison to the All Star appearances. You can't put a ton of stock into All Star appearances for most players because they are taken at midseason. I think this is a better measure on how a player's season went. It's kind of like the All Star voting for the end of the year. Um, I think you need to choose one or the other. I think it is a very helpful tool for Hall of Fame voters, though. It gives those traditional guys something to look at, Bill, to look at rather than just All Star appearances.
Hmm.
You know how the old school guys are. Oh, he made the All Star game 12 times, but it's like, yeah, he fell apart in the second half 12 times. So
Hmm.
what does that really mean? I don't know. I agree with you. It is something extra they tacked on, but I don't think it's useless.
Hmm. Yeah, as I was reading it, I just thought, okay, all right. So next thing we know, we're gonna have a third team,
Oh no.
and that's gonna be like all the players that are related to former MLB players, going all the way back to Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. It feels weird to me. I don't know.
I, I do agree with you. If they only did a first team, it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I understand why they do a second team because there are so many players, you
Yeah.
know. But hey, another bonus. It's another thing they could use in contract negotiations to get paid. So
Yeah.
more power to the
100%.
players, I guess.
100%. Okay, what you got number two?
Number two, I want to talk about the awards that they're handing out. You know, maybe do a little prediction. We're big on predictions, not on speculation
Predictions.
here.
Let's do it.
So the Rookie of the Year awards being handed out tonight. Um, the AL finalists, we got Colton Cowser, Luis Hill, and Austin Wells, um, who probably doesn't deserve to be there. That I'm gonna stop laying in the awards voters here, and then National League is Jackson Chourio, Jackson Merrill, and Paul Skeens. I think probably based off body of work, I'd probably go with Colton Cowser, who was really big for the Orioles this year. And the National League one's really hard, but I think you got to go Paul Skeens because there's not very many times a rookie pitcher as young as him come up and dominate as well as he did. I know his inning count's low, guys, but the Pirates definitely limited his inning count. It wasn't because he pitched poorly or anything. They just limited his inning count as a big leagues pitcher because it was his first year in the professionals. So I think, we got Cowser and Skeens. Who do you got?
I got Cowser on one side. I got Merrill on the other side.
Yeah.
Um, Jackson
That
Merrill put together an incredible season, and now you're batting fourth in a lineup that has Fernando Tatis in it and Manny Machado and Jake Cronenworth. That says something. I like Paul Skeens, and I won't be mad if they give it to Paul Skeens. Not at all. I like Paul Skeens, but dot dot dot. He's
yeah.
also a pitcher, and he pitches every 5 days. Whereas Jackson Merrill was going out every single day. This is the argument that I have when a pitcher wins MVP. So, for example, when Clayton Kershaw won MVP a number of years ago, he was 21-3, right? And so he crossed that famous threshold of 20 wins, but he had some crazy amount of like 35 walks and over 200 strikeouts. So he was and over 200 innings pitched. He had an amazing season that season. But I'm not a big fan of pitchers winning MVPs. And rookie of the year, if Jackson Merrill was not in the conversation, Paul Skeens all the way. But I don't think you can go wrong with either guy.
Yeah. I think even Churrio's going to draw some votes because he had a really good season in Milwaukee,
Hmm.
especially with the amount of hype he had in that big 8-year extension he signed last
Yep,
offseason. He came in and had, a 2020 season at the
100%.
at the age of what? What is he, 20 years old?
Something like
So
that. Yeah.
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 So
100%.
yeah, I think NL is going to be a little I think it's going to be a little tight. I think there's going to be a lot of votes spread out. AL, I think it's Kowser's award to lose. I know Luis Hill pitched really well, but he had a really bad second half.
Yep.
And I just don't see Austin Wells. He wasn't even better than some of the other rookies who didn't make the short list. So
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Um, uh, yeah, there's a lot of good caliber, and I know we're going to talk about the other award that should be pretty self-explanatory in both leagues. But my number two is going to be the award ceremony itself.
all right.
Jose Iglesias, pink pants. Come on, trying to go out there and rap. Come on. I mean, again, it shows it. Jackson, if you go back 30 years, 30 plus years, and you go to the award ceremonies, it shows how different the game is now than the game was then, right? Um, everybody's dressed up, everybody's looking nice and things like that. I thought the award ceremony was a little much for me. Um, I'm I'm kind of the fan of them just announcing it on the MLB network, and you see the guy at home, on a call and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of
I didn't even know they had an award ceremony until you just told me. That's how they always did it, growing up to me. They would just announce it. You call the guy on a Skype call to interview him about how it went. He's chilling at his house or something.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't that impressed. I mean, I didn't see the whole thing. I saw the Jose Iglesias thing, and I just I so different. I mean, go back 30 years. Is Jeter going to wear pink pants to an award ceremony?
Jeter, no, but I could definitely see a couple other,
Maybe.
you know, not out of the question for some of these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Exactly.
look, just because their fashion style, not everyone's fashion style is the same. For some people, it looks great. For some other people, it looks terrible.
Mhm.
But, more power to you. Wear what you want. Wear what's
Yep.
comfy, man.
Yep. What you got for number three?
Number three, uh, I think the big two awards, the MVP and the
Mhm.
Cy Young Awards.
Mhm.
Um, all eyes are going to be on that, later this week, Wednesday and Thursday. But I think the American League MVP isn't as cut and dry as it should be. I think Aaron Judge is going to win, but I definitely think Bobby Witt Jr. is going to make it close. And hear me out, Bill. Hear me out. He's the first shortstop to win the Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, and win a batting title in the same season.
Okay. Um, can you add one more name in there?
Sure.
Who do you think you ought to add in that, at least that conversation?
In the same season?
Mhm.
I'm talking about a shortstop in the same season.
Oh no, no.
All,
I'm talking
all
I'm talking about MVP. So you can
oh,
add, I think there's three names that
yeah, and
you,
well, yeah, I was going to get to that. I think Soto's going to take enough votes away from Aaron Judge to make this a race.
I'm not worried about Soto. How about a guy who hit 39 home runs, hit 279, and had 173 hits this season? He also, in that same season, he also had 41 stolen bases. He was one home run shy of 43.
Uh, are you talking about A-Rod's season?
No, I'm talking about Jose Ramirez.
Oh, Jose Ramirez. Well, he's not in the top three in voting, so I'm not anticipating him to win it.
Oh no, I know, but I'm just saying you could
Okay.
add him in there. Is what I'm saying. I know that,
Yeah.
and I get the whole idea, Soto. But
Yeah.
here here's my thing. If I'm voting, this is going to shock you. If I'm voting, I'm voting Bobby Wood Jr.
I would too.
I mean, if I'm voting, I'm voting Bobby Wood Jr. I get the fact that Aaron Judge hit another, what, 56 home runs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
whatever.
understand that. I completely agree with that. But you're talking about the MVP. And so, what did he do to help his team cross the finish line to win the division? What did he do? Forget about the postseason. You never take into
Yeah.
account the postseason.
They voted before the postseason, people, so just let it go.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I got to go with Bobby Wood Jr.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think, I saw some stat, an argument for Aaron Judge. It was like the 60th best season all time by a right-hander. I don't care. I don't care if it's in the top 50. I don't care if it's in the top 20. We've seen what Aaron Judge has done before. He's also put up a very similar season to that.
Mhm.
Bobby Witt's doing what hasn't been done. This is only his second full year. I think next year he might have a shot at 40-40 if he can really get those power numbers up. Little dicey because he plays in, Kansas City's cavernous ballpark. But, I think Bobby Witt Jr. is a really special player. And I think we're watching probably one of the greatest
Something
shortstops of
special.
all. Yeah, one of the greatest shortstops of all time if he can stay healthy. But
Yeah.
I think Judge will win it, but my vote would be for Bobby Witt Jr. So Baseball Writers of America, I'm your guy.
Listen to Jackson, Baseball Writers of
Yeah.
America. He's got it going on.
Yeah. And MVP, it's Shohei Ohtani. Don't kid yourself that it's anyone else.
Yeah,
Only the Mets writers are going to vote for Francisco Lindor. Don't worry about
yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say you're not, no, no,
it.
no.
Just stop.
Yeah, it's a
it,
nice argument, but
it is a nice argument.
it just doesn't work out. Um, okay, so on my side, I'm voting Bobby Witt. I'm voting Shohei. Uh, so my number three is what classifies as manager of the year, right? I personally think, and I'm not being a homer, I personally think Dave Roberts got snubbed in here with the amount of injuries that he had to work with this year, not getting in the top three. The fact that he got 90 plus wins again. And, you know, again, forget the World Series title, but with the amount of injuries that he had and that Brian Snicker had to deal with in Atlanta is unheard of. The fact that B Snick got the Braves to the playoffs, the fact that Dave
Yeah.
Roberts got the Dodgers to the playoffs.
Yeah. Us Braves fans are still in shock they made the playoffs.
Mhm.
If you ask any Braves fan, you think the team finished like 15 games under 500 the way people talked about this year.
100%. And it drives me absolutely batty. It drives me absolutely batty that we're not even like, and I get, so the three guys that are there, they deserve to be there, right? In certain senses. But you gotta look at Dave Roberts, you gotta look at B Snick, there's a number of managers that should have been there.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the National League Manager of the Year. I I think it's really frustrating. I think, out of the three finalists, Pat Murphy would probably be my vote
Yeah.
because, again, the Brewers made gold from nothing once again. But it's probably going to be Carlos Mendoza because the OMG Mets, they were the best team for 100 games, blah 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 blah. I don't really think that was all on him.
Mm.
I think the stars for the Mets finally should have played like it, and they got really good pitching out of their veteran pitchers. So I don't know. I thought Mendoza's bullpen management all year was poor, and
Yeah.
it doesn't. I don't really think he had too much of a hand. Carlos, if you're watching this, I don't hate you as a person. I just think call it my Braves bias, but
Carlos, if you're watching this, brother, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you want to hang out, I'll hang out. We can go grab some pizza in New York or something. But I don't think Mendoza's management really was a shining point that really propelled the Mets forward. And but what do I know?
Yeah. Wait, exactly.
I just read stat sheets all day. What do I know?
You're just the top 10 stats guy. What do you know? Right. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Uh, yeah, my honorable mention is going to be Travis d'Arnaud, Anaheim. But hey, man, the Angels are making some pretty solid moves. I don't think they're going to be great next year, but
Solid moves.
Tra
Solid
Travis
moves.
Travis d'Arnaud as your backup catcher is a very solid move, Bill.
I, yeah, but he's not a backup catcher. He deserves to play every day.
He's getting old. He's like 36.
Oh,
He's got no knees left.
so what are you gonna do? Use him as DH?
They're going to use him as the backup catcher, probably to mentor Logan O'Hoppe. I like the signing for the Angels. I think the Angels have made decent moves the with what they got. They're the
Uh,
only team to have done anything really major this offseason. I think they've done okay for themselves for where they're at.
I disagree. X gets the square. I think that the Angels have done what arguably I'm gonna call the Dodgers of the 90s and early 2000s moves. They pick up a bunch of guys that either are past their prime or have serious upsides but have been in the league. For example, we picked up Ricky Henderson when he was like 69 years old and he played a season with the Dodgers. He wasn't going to be the Ricky of all Rickies, right? I mean, we had a number of Kevin Newman. What good's that going to do? Like, he was not awesome last season. He was not awesome the season before. A lot of these, I get what the Angels are doing. They're trying to bring in some veteran leadership to help the younger kids, the Zach Nettos and the Logan O'Hoppes and things like that. And I've been saying it for a long time that you have to get veteran leadership in that clubhouse to mentor the younger kids, and the Angels would be really, really good. The problem is I was thinking veteran leadership in the clubhouse and on the field. Travis d'Arnaud is not going to play every day. He's not going to play every day, and so he's going to go to playing once a week, unless he's DHing. He'll play once a week, maybe. And so, yeah, a lot of it. I just don't know. I don't know.
I like it from the standpoint you have a guy that's a veteran that can manage your pitching staff. He's familiar with the coaching staff too. Um, you know, and he doesn't need to play every day. I don't think he wants to play every day. That's the thing. We saw last year with all of Atlanta's injuries, he was playing every day and he was good for a little bit and then really struggled. I I just think he's ready to be that mentor role and transition to a coach because that's the kind of guy he is.
Okay. I, I
You're essentially paying for another coach, is what I'm saying,
well,
to help the young guys. And the Angels aren't going to win anything next year. So from a Braves fan standpoint, watching the Angels go out and acquire a player that's only going to make their young players better, it seems like a no brainer use of money rather than signing. I don't like flaming people on the podcast, but the Austin Hedges of the world, where you get that defense first backup catcher who can't, couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. At least d'Arnaud has a little bit of bat presence, and he's really good with the staff. So
I get where you're going. I like it.
yeah,
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just didn't, I personally, I don't understand the direction that the Angels are going. I don't get the direction, but I see what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. I just
I think their direction is win one more, at least one more game than the year before.
well,
I
and
think we're at that point in the rebuild where it's, they're not trying to make the playoffs, but they're trying to be better than the year before.
and you got to get Mike Trout on the field. You got to get Mike Trout on the field.
That,
If
that's
if he
that's the
can't
key.
play more than 50 games this season, he ought to consider hanging it up.
Yeah, it's giving me shades of Ken Griffey Jr. And as a kid who loved Ken Griffey Jr. growing up, I hate it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, I mean, no, barring a freak accident, like, he gets an inside pitch and it breaks his hand, like Mookie Betts or whatever, barring that, if he can't stay on the field this season for more than 50 games, he might want to consider just hanging it up, freeing up the cash for the Angels and hanging it up, right? And
Yeah,
so it's
we'll
just,
see. They're going to be a team I think to watch. They might be really active in the trade market to maybe move some of these contracts that teams are looking to get rid of.
and I hope so. It's good for baseball when the Angels are good. The
Yeah,
Angels are good in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, but the last 10 seasons, they have not been good at all.
yeah.
And
Hey, they're the only team to never lose 100 games.
yeah, well, they tried this year. They
They tried
really,
this
really
year,
tried this year.
but hey, they scraped it out, and that's impressive for a team that's been around since what 1960.
Yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so Jackson, you and I are going to do some things a little differently on this weekly show, on this weekly review. So we're going to have next week, we're going to have, a show. Jackson and I got some ideas, but the following week, or maybe into December, we're going to start to see, we might bring in some guests. We're going to do some fun things. Jackson and I talked about it, but at the end of the day, Jackson, how warm is it out there where you're at?
in Pennsylvania, it is not warm. It is to the point where my son wants to go play outside, and we're outside for an hour, and then it's time to bundle up and drink some hot chocolate.
Okay, so if that's the case, then people need to understand that there's Top Fan Rivalry hoodies out there, and
Oh
all they
man,
got to do is use the code. What code, Jackson, do they
use
use
code
for those
Jackson.
hoodies?
Get
Jackson.
10% off of code Jackson. I have a Top Fan hoodie. It is comfortable. It keeps me warm. I'm not wearing it today, but hey, it's dirty. Don't give me that look. I've been wearing it because it's cold.
I've been wearing it because it's cold. There you go. Jackson, we're gonna do this again next week. But everybody go out and get your hoodies, man. We even got pink hoodies now, and there's this a couple of people that have them are taking pictures of their pink hoodies, and they're calling themselves the Pink Hoodie Gang, the Top Fan Rivalry Pink Hoodie Gang. I think it's funny.
Hey, extra bonus the pink hoodies, man. Snow visibility. They'll be able to see you.
There you go. There you go. Jackson, let's do it again next week.
Let's do it.
All right.